Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. It's our second stream of 2022. How exciting! And we are here with Cincinnati Chronicles, our lovely World of Darkness anthology series, where we are telling a number of stories set in the same city on the same night in 1995. And it is, of course, Cincinnati. In honor of that, and in honor of the Bengals actually clinching the playoffs rather unexpectedly, given their past few years' performance, I am wearing a Cincinnati Bengals shirt, and I hope that gets you in the mood for our adventures in the World of Darkness. Before I start bringing on players and we go through the recaps of our story so far, it's the usual promo time. If you check down below, you will find a bunch of links to YouTube and Twitch. You're watching this on one of them. Please check out the other to our social media, our Patreon, our Discord. If any of those things interest you, please take a look at them. We run 3 weekly games. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday usually. Monday we missed out on this week, but Johnny and the Monday crew will be back this coming Monday with more Shadows of Esteron. Wednesdays is usually Simbroom. It's kind of our flagship show, or at least the most long-running show we've had. And Thursday nights is this, Cincinnati Chronicles, for the time being. All of them start at 8 p.m. GMT on Twitch, or you can catch them all on video on demand on YouTube afterwards. We also have monthly one-shots exploring different systems on the first weekend of every month. That does, of course, mean that this weekend coming is one of them, and indeed this Saturday, that's Saturday the 8th of January, we'll be playing classic system Cyberpunk 2020, and I should say not the new versions of Cyberpunk, but the original 90s Cyberpunk 2020. Sam will be running his first one-shot on the channel with that, so that'll be this Saturday, 8th of January, and we'll be starting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon GMT, or I believe 10 o'clock in the morning if you are EST. And I'm sure you can make your own calculations from those two time zones. So, without any further ado, let's start bringing on our players and start talking about where we left things off last time. We're about halfway through this arc of Werewolf the Apocalypse. And let's start with Pierre, which is going to be a little adventure because we don't know if Pierre's audio and stuff is functioning. But let's find out. Pierre, hello.
Hello. Testing 1 2 3.
Wonderful. Hello, how are you?
I am well.
That's good. I genuinely I don't know how you are, because you fixed your audio stuff while we were waiting to go live. So
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hearing.
You could be like, I only came to tell you that I only have 30 minutes to live.
Oh God.
And I've chosen to spend it streaming on Twitch. Hey, the numbers would be amazing. So, how are you, Pierre?
I am a fine beast, and
indeed.
I suppose I should tell you where we got.
Yeah, where we kicked off last time on Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Yeah, so we were. I'm sorry, I'm hearing like a massive echo in my voice in my audio, which is
you've got this kind of jury-rigged phone, and yeah, sure.
Yes.
Understand. And there is your character, Marco Vermangia, in case.
Yeah. I might need to skip this to sort out my audio. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I will give your flashback. You've escaped your duty of that for now, and we'll return to Pierre when he is less assaulted by his own voice. And we all know how he feels. So Pierre is playing Marco Vermangia. Oh, you'll need to mute yourself there, Pierre. There we go. Marco is a Bone Nora Philodox? Philodox. Yes. Maybe? Yes. And essentially, the pack of Garu have become sort of stranded in Cincinnati, making their way from New York to San Francisco. And as a part of that, they went to get their camper van repaired, their kind of VW that they were crossing the country in. And in the course of which they discovered an expansive, polluted wasteland adjacent to the mechanic who was very kindly helping them out. So they went to investigate that. They found a bunker with some suspicious worm-like activity and delved down into it, following a seemingly highly corrupted human individual who scampered down into the bunker. And they followed to find a network of labyrinthine tunnels underneath. And to tell us more about these labyrinthine tunnels, let's bring on Inga, who plays Lila, our Get of Fenris Galliard.
Hello.
And Kate Blanchett lookalike.
It's the best thing I've ever done. So we get into this bunker, and there's all these like concrete tunnels everywhere with this like creepy yellowish sort of light. It's like super old and dingy. We don't really get very far with tracking by sound, like hearing the guy who'd run off ahead of us. We managed to sniff out a bit of like where it might be faintly stronger, the smell of all of this weird polluted nastiness, and kind of use that a little bit to kind of work our way through the warren of tunnels. Beanstalk tries to step sideways but can't. So Marco and then Lila start to kind of lead us through, and we kind of find that in some places there are these cracks in the floor where we're getting the ooze of this polluted stuff. I think Marco got a bit of a face full of it, or sort of inhaled a bit at one point, which wasn't terribly pleasant. But we kind of make our way through, and we kind of start to hear the sounds again, and we get to this doorway where it's kind of covered by the fungal, nasty, polluted stuff. So we have to be quite careful kind of getting our way through, but that opens up into this big chamber with like this weird glass screen, like a viewing gallery. And then things kick off.
Things do indeed kick off from that point. And to let us know exactly how, why, and where they kick off, or at least a rough approximation, let's bring on our third player, Holly. Holly plays Zoe, our resident child of Gaia Arun, which is a great combination. Hi Holly, how you doing?
Hello, doing all right. Coming to you from said underground dingy cave, based on the echo in this room. We found a collection of worm servants, essentially. And in true Child of Gaia Arun style, Zoe jumped through the window between us. So there's a large glass pane between us and them down on the cavern floor. Everyone else followed, and limbs were rended, spines were torn out. Classic Werewolf the Apocalypse stuff. We found out these guys' names, which were hilarious.
They were kind of sort of a door. I was going for the turtles, went super wrong.
What, Dwayne, Tommy, Mikey, and Billy?
Yeah.
So we killed all of them in fairly short time and with minimal damage to ourselves.
Yeah, they kind of got some licks in, but certainly no match for a fighty Garu pack such as yourselves. And then let's bring on our final player. It is, of course, everyone's favorite, Chris, who is playing Beanstalk, our Silent Strider Theurge. Look at him there, gorgeous. We're also Chris can talk about the ending of what happened last time, and then we're gonna do some experimentation with Pierre's camera setup, because it's exciting tonight, but it'll all be fine. Chris, take it away. Let us know how we cliffhangered last time.
Yeah, so after we'd end up killing, and I do want to point out how, while these were obviously beings, they were also very adorable. And I was quite upset at having to kill them. But we then...
Sorry to be a nerdy pedant, but Fomori rather than Banes.
Fomori, sorry.
Banes are the spirits. Fomori are corrupted humans.
So we found basically the adjoining rooms to this big chamber were basically just living quarters. But the one at the back of the room was more like an office space, which had in its midst a map with marked locations on it, and a small, I think, Rolodex or kind of like a little pockets organizer book with like kind of quantities and deliveries and dates. Like something somewhat organized was occurring here. And a look over the map found a number of locations in the city mapped, but our eyes were drawn to the place marked production, which seems to be across town in an industrial district. I think that's
absolutely, and specifically a manufacturing plant, which people who've watched the Vampire the Masquerade arc of this will have a certain sinking feeling in their stomach, based on what happens later at a manufacturing plant in Cincinnati. Yeah, I think that's about where we left it, folks. So thank you for that. Pierre, hello. How are you? Hey, there we go. Lovely.
And now I'm not hearing any horrible echo, but you'll just
No,
have
it's
to
all
tolerate
good.
me staring off into the distance as though I am foreseeing some terrible events at some plant or other.
I think I speak for everyone, Pierre, when I say that's how I prefer you.
Good.
So there we go. No, we have had people dial in on purely on phone before, and it works just fine. It's one of those weird things where you're like, "Oh God, I got to use my phone," and then you realize your phone is like an average phone is probably a better mic and camera than anything you attach to your computer.
Almost certainly, yes.
Yeah. So there we go.
Sure.
Lovely. Okay, well, we're going to pick up more or less exactly where we left off. Now, can anyone here fill me in? Like, there were three exits from the room where you fought the Fomori. I believe you've definitely investigated that back one that has had the workbook and the location marked on it and stuff. And you've investigated the one that was kind of like a squalid little bedroom. Did we investigate the other room as well? I'm not sure. The room off to the left. I can't quite remember.
I don't believe we did.
Okay, well, if we didn't, let's investigate it again. Why not? So it becomes very clear to you after the briefest of liaisons as a pack that there is no exit to any other place through that bedroom or through the that top balcony room that had the workbook. And a brief glance into the other room, the one I think Mikey came out of, the kind of almost thing looking guy, thing of Fantastic Four rather than the Thing, and that's entrance leads to what is a very rough and wrecked living space. There's a battered television connected up to a VCR, which is facing a stinking couch partly covered in junk food packets and stained horribly. On the screen is some kind of video nasty where wailing teens are being torn apart by poorly costumed zombies. It's mostly made up of bad gore effects. There is an exit leading off this chamber, which seems to just lead to more of those kind of labyrinthine tunnels. And you suspect if you'd taken maybe a slightly different turning in those tunnels, you would have ended up here rather than in the viewing gallery. But this does indeed seem to be the primary way out of the little complex of rooms you found yourself in.
We have work to do.
Got to be a reason that those two places were circled.
Well, I think if we want to go to the source, the place marked production is probably going to be my desired destination. These are creatures of the worm. It's best not to keep them waiting.
Yeah, we should head over there as fast as possible. Do we know what time it is?
Down here, reasonably no idea, unless one of you has a watch, and also a watch that didn't burst off your wrist when you transformed into Krenos.
Probably not. Okay, cool.
I've got no
in which
watch.
case, yeah, we should just head over there as soon as possible then. It isn't that far away from us.
No, it's certainly not
on the map,
no.
But it will still require a little bit of running.
Definitely. Okay, so you make your way out through the kind of labyrinth of these bunker-like tunnels, and it's definitely easier getting out than it was getting in. But what I would like is at least one of you to be successful, and all of you can roll if you like on a wits. You know what? A wits plus enigma roll. because as I say, this place is laid out in a rather nonsensical fashion. And that's going to be a difficulty, let's call it a difficulty of 7. But all I need is for one of you to be kind of successful.
Can I borrow our totem, given we forgot to use it during the entrance
Yeah,
into this place?
absolutely.
That gives me +1 to enigmas among with their other benefits. So that's
2 successes for me.
Got 4 successes.
Ooh, very nice.
4 successes here as well.
Very nice. Well, it sounds like regardless of Zoe's number of successes, we're definitely heading out of here fast. But let's
All ones.
let's let Holly roll.
No, I only got 2. So yeah.
Oh, a mere 12 total successes or something. Yeah, absolutely. You find with a couple of turns of corridors from that kind of almost living room chamber, you find yourself in vaguely familiar corridors, and before long, before you know it, it's a lot faster to get out of this place than it was to get in, and you find yourself ascending the stairs into that kind of like hunched concrete bunker-like structure that you found among the thorns in the wasteland. You emerge out into the bright, hot June afternoon sun. You think, just from kind of glancing at the sky above, not as much time passed as you thought it would have, and you'd guess maybe it's like 6 o'clock in the evening, perhaps, which, realistically speaking, is not is not really that dark in mid-June, but for what it's worth, yeah, that's around the time you're at.
I think partially to get the smell out of my nose, and partially to heal that point of aggravated damage, and partially just to prepare myself from having to rejoin polite society, I'm going to get back into Homid. Happy to make a roll for it, unless you want to give it.
No, you're not under any kind of pressure. So I'm happy for you to just shift over the time it takes to get there. Yes, because as Chris is ascribing to there, healing is slightly different depending on what form you're in. Yeah. Oh no, Chris. Metis have full regeneration even in their breed form.
Ah, delightful.
Full regeneration in every form.
I think I'm within my rights to scrub that that health level then.
What kind of damage was it?
It was 1 level of aggravated bruised.
No, I'm afraid aggravated heals once per day.
Fudge.
So everyone is holding on to their aggravated unless it gets healed somehow. But it's worth talking about any other damage people have taken. Yeah, basically, if you're not in your breed form, i.e. not in Homid for the rest of you, then all your bashing and lethal will now be gone. Which is partly why in the game of which of the different spooky types of character in World of Darkness win in a fight, the answer is werewolves. So...
Well, yeah. I suppose in that case, which one of you two has Mother's Touch again? It's Lally, isn't it? Oh no, it's Zoe. I will approach Zoe and go, may I request the blessing of the mother?
You can request. However, my gnosis is limited.
Tis better to...
Yeah, I've basically got 2 left, so it's whether we want to save that. How badly are you injured?
Not enough to risk it.
Gnosis is quite hard to regenerate. You'd have to take some time to do so to meditate, unless you've got a spirit to bargain some off. So.
Or you can see the moon. You can get some gnosis. Oh no, you can't get gnosis back from the moon.
No,
you get rage back from the moon.
The rage, the opposite of gnosis, you get back from seeing the moon for the first time every night. So, okay.
I'm still in Krenos, I think. I might shift into Lupus from there.
Sure. Yeah.
Or run about town.
like I'm happy for people to be whatever they want to. I'm not like, I only like to make people roll for shapeshifting if like they're there's like a stressful thing, or they're like there's people nearby who might see if it takes too long or whatever. But here in the middle of this wasteland, yeah, I'm happy for you to be shifted to Lupus.
Yeah, I'll shake off my Glabro and go into Homid.
Sure.
I'll
Yeah,
go
obviously.
Homid as well.
Yeah, obviously, if you're going to go through the city of Cincinnati, then no one can be anything but Homid and Lupus. Sometimes Glabro can pass for human as well.
Okay. I was going to say, well, I mean, is it more like through the city that we're going, or is it more like, I mean, because we're a little bit out of
sure,
town,
it's like a patch,
bit, right? So
yeah, you're out of the
like
city center itself, but you are still like, it's a patch of wasteland in like, I mean, not the suburbs, but like it's actually an area of the city in World of Darkness might frequently be called the Barrens, in that it's, you know, industrial estates, old like rundown suburban development, stuff like that. If you could pass for a large dog.
Okay, yeah, I'll stay in Lupus.
Yeah. The people of the World of Darkness are not that familiar with wolves, because they're even rarer and nearer to extinction than they are in our world. So they will just assume you're a large dog. Yeah, you shapeshift into these forms that you want, and are we heading through this wasteland and just trying to make a kind of beeline for this manufacturing plant that was on the map, or are we going anywhere else, or just heading straight there?
I think we should head straight there.
Maybe because I brought the map with me because I did want to take a look at it. Maybe just before we leave the wasteland, I'll take another kind of quick glance at it just to see if anything else strikes me. Because you mentioned there's 2 major zones marked and the rest are fairly minor.
Yeah, I believe I said that there were 2 places sort of circled in red, one of which was the bunker you've just come from, and the other one was the manufacturing plant. And then there's a number of other places circled in black, and those places correspond to the list of places in the like the workbook that you had, next to which there are like things like 3 barrels, 4 barrels, 1 barrel. So like, without you know what, like, I think I might have asked for this roll already last time, but let's roll again for fun. Beanstalk's the one thinking about this. Let's have a roll from you that's intelligence plus investigation, please. You are a mute, friend.
Yeah, so I'm just taking a second here to check and see. I don't think we get anything extra. No, we don't. We get our totem gives us survival of 3, subterfuge of 1, and enigmas of 1. So my intelligence plus investigation is 4. That's a standard roll, is it?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, unless 2 successes.
Different. It's always difficulty 6. 2 successes. Yeah, it's pretty easy to work out that clearly the places marked in black are probably where stuff from that unpleasant pipeline are being dumped or used in some way. If these individuals are trying to spread the worm stink over the already stinking city of Cincinnati, then perhaps these are their dumping locations for whatever reason, which obviously leads to the conclusion that the manufacturing plant may be the source of the pipeline that they were dragging the foul liquid from.
I'll vocalize that. It'll be like, just under the light of the sun, does anyone object to going straight to the factory?
That makes the most sense to me. I think
we do not need to unravel a mystery, merely destroy it.
I'm starting to trot in the what I think is the direction, hopefully is the correct direction.
Is there any way that we could send word out of our discovery, or are we on or is that like we would have to go somewhere and do it? Like, there's no sort of communication. I know our Raven totem only allows it to know where we are, not us to communicate directly.
It probably wouldn't allow you to communicate. It definitely wouldn't allow you to communicate directly, even if you can convince like a Raven or an aspect of Raven to take a message. It would be doing it at the speed of flight.
Right.
through the Umbra, and the only people you don't know, you're sure there are probably Garou in Cincinnati, but you have no idea where they are. You were not expecting to be here, particularly. There are undoubtedly other Bone Gnawers and Glasswalkers with maybe packs and septs in the city, but you have zero idea of how you would find them. And anyone you are certain of is back in New York.
Are there any known where I don't know, symbols or werewolf indications that you can make in a place to indicate?
There absolutely are. There is werewolf kind of symbolic script, which is made with, you'll see a lot of them through kind of indicated through the book with scratchy symbols, and it's intended for a Krynos with claws out to scrape. You could still do it with just a knife or whatever, but it's intended for werewolves to be able to scrape it into wood and stuff like that. So you could leave a message, a very rough message that said something like worm or simple concepts like that.
I might just I don't know, I'll suggest this to everyone and be maybe we should leave some some representation of this map. If we don't, I don't want to necessarily jinx it, but if we don't make it back, maybe we should
the concrete that the bunker is made of is old and crumbling. If one of you, I'd say anyone who's Glabro or Krynos, could scrape a rough map and some Garou script into the side of it. Worm here sort of thing.
It's a good idea. As appellant rights master, it falls to me, unless someone else wishes the honor.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Good.
It's also super easy for you to shift back into Krynos.
Yeah, so I'll do a little kind of symbol of the city, and then the two sites of Worm and the site of this site and the other site, and I'll also kind of leave a glyph indicating that our pack is moving towards the site intent on war.
Yeah, you leave a scratch symbol that translates as going to war.
Milo's just pacing around the bunker while you guys are doing this. As soon as you're ready to move, back off again.
Still in Krynos. It is good. Let's go. We hunt.
So I'm assuming you're shifting back to Homid for the
before we
Cincinnati
hit the main road.
Yeah, werewolves don't have anything quite the equivalent of the masquerade, but they do have a general rule called the veil. In that kind of most humans will just kind of go crazy and run away when they see werewolves and will kind of justify. So you make your way through the wasteland. The area, the direction you've gone here, because you came kind of from the south to come here from the mechanics shop. And you have to go north again to head towards this manufacturing plant location, and it's much a similar kind of journey as the one here. You find pools of that foul, stinking substance, a lot of kind of ruined bits of concrete and metal piping, and a generally unpleasant landscape over which to clamber. But eventually, you find yourselves on the edge of it, and again on a similar chain link fence with multiple holes through it, which you manage to scramble through. And on the other side is a bit more of an upscale street than the one that the mechanic shop is on. But it's still nothing to write home about. It's just a bunch of fairly rundown shops. You need to see another couple of garages, and sort of people are shooting you slightly odd but wary looks to see you kind of clamber out of the fencing to this wasteland. But I imagine none of you are dressed in particularly expensive or impressive clothes, and therefore they just kind of shrug and look away. For the purposes of this adventure, I will assume that you have all carried out or have had the rite carried out to you. That means that essentially your clothes are a fetish, i.e. when you transform into Krynos, you don't. It isn't a Hulk situation, They just merge into your physical form.
I will point out that my clothing is a very powerful 1980s suit. Which is already dated by 1995. So
excellent.
I'm
love
also
that.
going to render the map onto Marco as the natural homid. I think it makes more sense for them to have.
Yeah, from an urban tribe, as it were.
Yeah.
It does make sense. Yeah. Is anyone planning on making any more preparations before you strike out to the north towards the manufacturing plant, or are we happy to proceed?
Do we
Guess
talk
that means we're
tactics?
happy.
Lila is impatient to proceed.
Sure. Marco, let's have you make a quick roll to just see how well you. I can't imagine you'll botch up navigating this street map, but hey, you never know. Why
Stranger
don't you
things have
give me?
happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you give me a probably a perception plus streetwise roll? I think that's a decent one. Just standard
Okay.
difficulty.
Rolling 4 dice. Trying to get 6s. 10, 10, 6, 1. So 2 successes.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah, you find your way through this northern part of Cincinnati fairly easily. You go through a number of kind of slightly rougher urban and commercial areas before you quite quickly, within about 40 minutes or so, start walking through what seems like a fairly extended industrial estate. There are a lot of buildings here that seem relatively innocent of worm taint, although the scents of the weaver are all over this place. Ones that Marco is probably a lot more familiar with than the other members of the pack. But there are warehouses and packing facilities, small workshops, kind of more auto shops and repair places and things like that. But very soon, as you set foot on these streets, you see almost like a dark mountain on the horizon. You see a large factory, a manufacturing plant a few streets ahead, which has towering chimneys up to the bright June sky. And you can see it kind of an odd thing. Normally, obviously, these chimneys would be pouring smoke out into the sky, and you see that they are, but it's odd. It's like, a translucent heat smoke that you can see, kind of almost with maybe you're imagining a slight oily glisten, almost like a mother of pearl effect on the smoke itself as it pours fumes into the skies of Cincinnati. It really does not take you long to navigate the streets round to get a good look at it, and it is definitely the location you're looking for. It is a huge manufacturing plant that is basically one single building, surrounded by a large car park, and that is surrounded further itself by a large chain link fence topped with barbed wire. It is a looming presence on this industrial estate, coughing out those translucent fumes into the sky, carrying a sterile stench that seems to even affect the humans walking past, who wrinkle their noses and occasionally cover them with handkerchiefs or masks. The stench is best described as a kind of lingering medical rot. It's definitely related to, but not entirely similar to, the odor from the wasteland and the bunker. Near the center of the chain link fence is a checkpoint with a number of guards standing at it as workers and cars pass through occasionally. 4 guards are sat and stood there in uniforms and mirror shades, all of them visibly armed with quite high caliber weapons. There is no sign to declare the name of the business, and a few feet away, tangled in the barbed wire near the front gate, is the body of a large dead pigeon, which is dripping rotten fluids on the pavement nearby. But the humans nearby don't even seem to notice it. So overwhelming is the stink from the plant itself. Let's say you're on the opposite side of the street currently. There you are.
Should we have a wander down the street and see if there are any slightly less well-guarded and less intact sections of the wall and fence?
Yeah, sounds like a good idea, Zoe.
Unlike our previous site, this one may be best approached from the shadows.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd suggest that we head around the side, trying to get out of sight of those guards. and see if there are any like rusty patches of fence, any that can be vaulted over using like telephone poles or whatever.
I'm just imagining you literally ripping a telephone pole.
Yeah, I mean, in Krenos, you definitely
maybe, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I do my best impression of looking like a dog on a walk with these fine fellows, and moving us on in the direction that Zoe seems to be indicating.
I think as we walk, I want to see if any of the guards sort of clock us or like make note of the wolf.
Sure, absolutely. That's a very good thing to look out for. Okay, well, I think we've got a role. I think Zoe and Lila sound like they're doing roughly the same thing. They're kind of just keeping an eye out for a method of egress. Ingress, not egress.
Ingress.
That's opposite. Chris, are you doing anything in particular as you're moving around?
Once we're out of sight, I'm going to hopefully borrow Marco's glaive again, or at least unless I can find a better reflective surface, and just take a peek.
Sure, absolutely. I was going to say it is a busy street, but yes, absolutely. If you're just peeking through the veil there, that's perfectly fine, and won't break. Not the veil. The veil is the thing that stops humans knowing about Will's peak through the velvet curtain, as it's also called. So yeah. You can all do that. Let's have some different roles for that then, shall we? Lila and Zoe, if you're mainly concerned with looking and investigating the place, why don't you give me a perception plus investigation roll? I think is a good one. And I'll just give you just standard difficulty, and I'll just give you whatever information the higher person rolls. Marco, you're kind of observing those individuals a bit more, aren't you? So let's say that yours is a wits plus alertness roll, or wits plus empathy, your choice. And as for Chris, you've just got the roll to peek through into the Umbra, really, haven't you? Which I believe is a Gnosis roll. Is that right?
Yep. If memory serves.
Yes, it's rolling Gnosis against a difficulty set by the local gauntlet. And did we say that peeking is one less difficulty?
Peeking is more difficult, if I recall. This might be from the previous edition. Yes, peeking is a specialized task.
Okay. Well, given that I think it's easier and you think it's harder, shall we just keep it as the same unless someone in chat shouts at us?
Okay.
Matt, quick question on my roll, because I'm still in Lupus. The character sheet says -2 perception diff. I don't know if that means.
-2 perception difficulty. So you're rolling against a difficulty of 4.
Okay, still one success for me.
One success for me as well.
Okay. Chris, let's say your Gnosis and it's against the gauntlet is going to be 8. So.
Okay, so that's 7 because I'm a channel.
Yep.
And that's 1 success.
Okay. You're going to have to stay in place for 5 minutes or so, but you can feel kind of the shroud of reality peeling away from you as you're kind of there kind of looking. You can make it look like you're like looking into a mirror,
I'm very keen to be doing this in a place where we're
you
not
can do it
inside
as you're strolling along. That's fine. So you're not directly opposite the guards and doing it. That's absolutely fine. Okay. How did you do, Pierre?
I got 2 successes, assuming difficulty 6. So
okay. So here's how this works out. Marco, first of all, the guards don't seem particularly fixated on your group or on the very large dog that you're with, but they definitely take note of you in the same way they seem to be taking note of everyone who isn't kind of turning into the factory grounds to presumably go to work. They seem very on it and very alert and very armed, but they don't take any special notice of you don't think. Lila and Zoe, as you're walking along, the chain link fence and the barbed wire on top of it seems very well maintained. It looks relatively new. It does not look like there's going to be an easy sort of, a hole that's already in it, or a bit of it that's partly fallen down, or something like that. It looks to be fairly well and professionally maintained. It's not entirely surprising because you can see that the car park inside is very full. Like, a lot of people seem to work here, and clearly it has quite a bit of money behind it.
Is it like concrete around, or like without a risk of being slightly comedic? Is there a dog digging under the chain link fence?
Sure.
I knew what you were going for as soon as you asked whether it was concrete.
No, I'm afraid that it's just what we would call a pavement, and our friends over there would call a sidewalk. Is outside it, and the car park inside is, I'm afraid, concreted over. So.
Sure.
I mean, not entirely impossible in Krenos, but would probably get a bit of attention.
Maybe just a tad.
Did you say what time it was? Because you said that people were heading into work. So
sure. Yeah.
For a night shift,
well,
maybe.
that tells you in and of itself that there must be evening shifts in this place.
Okay, cool.
Because the time right now, I'm happy for you to have passed some kind of clock or something like that. The time now will be, and let me just check my fancy sheet, which tells me the time at every individual occurrence in all 5 stories. It will now be probably just after 6 o'clock in the evening.
So we're heading towards dusk.
But that is a couple of hours away because it is mid-June.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But there's at least lower lights and there are some shadows.
Yeah, there are some, the shadows are getting longer, and but clearly this is a night shift that's clocking on now.
Zoe's probably going to sigh deeply, head over to a more shadowed area, and just say, I really like this leather jacket, and take off the leather jacket that she's been wearing and use it to jump slightly and cover over the barbed wire fence. So
before I'll kind of hold my hand up before you do that, just kind of coming out of my reverie while looking at the whatever surface I find.
I would say, sorry, I neglected to mention how high the chain link fence was.
I'm assuming that it's a good 6 or 7 feet. So
it's probably more like 8 feet or so.
More like 8
it's
feet.
It's really quite large, and the barbed wire itself is another couple of feet on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very well kind of. It's unusual for a factory to be quite this, have quite this much intentional defending fence around it. Let's put it that way. But yeah, absolutely. We didn't mention what Beanstalk has seen. With just a glance, it takes a while for you to part the mists and gain a view beyond. But there, after glancing through, there is zero doubt left in your mind that this is a building absolutely redolent of the worm and its corruption. The entire thing is a sprawling biomechanical edifice in the Umbra, which is pouring out those kind of slightly mother-of-pearl translucent fumes are great roiling clouds of slick oil-like substance that are boiling off up into sickly green skies. You can see creatures and beings with entirely too many legs kind of thrashing and coiling over the surface of the horrible structure. Yes, this entire place is horribly corrupted by the worm, and you suspect that trying to make an entrance through the Umbra would be equally, if not more dangerous, given the number of Banes that seem to be just crawling over the surface of the place.
There is no easy path through the spirit realm.
When I was observing the guards, were they checking as people passed through, were they checking everyone's ID or anything like that?
Very much so. Also, I would say that they've got a little hut, a little security hut that does appear to have cameras. And as you're walking along, I probably should have said this, as you're walking along the fence, every now and then there is a camera. So yeah.
Have I noticed any blind spots so far?
That would definitely require a circuit of the place, and another more difficult roll. But I'm perfectly happy for you to make that roll.
Let's do the full circuit first, and act like we're on a dog walk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. In this
Around the
lovely
horrible
neighborhood.
factory.
Delightful area to walk your dog in. Yeah.
Anyone who wants to be looking for those blind spots can give me a perception plus. Oh, there isn't a security roll in Werewolf. It's just going to be perception plus investigation, I think. But that's definitely going to be higher difficulty. I'm going to put that at difficulty 8 for anyone who wants to make that roll. Also, Beanstalk, while that roll is being made, I want you to make another one. You can make that one as well if you want, but I want you to make another roll, please. I want that roll to be a wits plus primal urge roll.
Got it.
That's one success from me.
None for me, even with the reduction.
I got 2 successes on my wits plus primal urge. I'm not going to look for CCTV cameras because they are Weaver technology, and I'm having none of it.
Sure. Okay. Well, let's talk a bit about the fence first. So you've circled around the place. It's a very large manufacturing plant, and it does have kind of street all the way around it. There is another entrance at the back, which is similarly guarded. That seems to be, it's for deliveries and big, large trucks and vans going in and out. And the back, you've now like circled enough that I can describe the entrances to the actual plant for you as well. The front has what appears to be obviously like a main entrance and a staff entrance that people are going in and out. The back has kind of one of those very large, kind of like metal sheet doors that just comes up that you can see coming up every now and then to let large delivery trucks kind of in and out of a delivery bay. You don't find any particular blind spots, it has to be said. Like, cameras are situated every 20 feet or so along, and they are kind of panning slowly. Maybe you could figure out a kind of a way, like, oh, that's pointing that way, and it would take quite a bit of planning and doing, you think, if it's even possible. Chris, however, as you are kind of rounding the other side of the kind of back area of the manufacturing plant, you feel an odd sort of like just tickle at the back of your neck, like your hackles rising slightly, not in fear or kind of anger, but just like an odd little premonition. And as you turn and look up, you see perched on a streetlight nearby is a raven.
And obviously I'll bring the pack to a stop in this area and give it a much closer once over. What's on the kind of opposite side of the road? What's near this neighborhood? Is Raven perhaps telling us that there's a different way in rather than just straight over the fence?
There doesn't seem to be anything that you can spot that's different on kind of that side of it. It's just an area kind of near the back that's got car park on the other side and like an area of fence and barbed wire that looks fairly similar, honestly. And as you kind of glance over and peer to see, you can hear a kind of harsh croak above you, and the raven tips itself off the top of the streetlight and flaps away down between a warehouse and a packing building, and off into a darkened alleyway.
My friends, we have been summoned. Please, let us hurry.
Let's follow.
As you move as a group towards that alleyway, you sort of are you kind of, it's not a very large area. There's kind of, you can see a dumpster over to one side, but the growing shadows of the early dusk are kind of casting the whole passageway in darkness. Are you striding kind of fearlessly into it, or being a bit more cautious?
Marco never strides into anything. Marco never strides into anything fearlessly.
I trust in the raven.
Yeah, I'm strutting.
Fair enough. In that case, as you stride into this alleyway, let's have a quick roll from everyone just to see whether anyone cottons on. Let's have a good old a perception plus alertness roll. Just a good old perception plus alertness roll. And let's call that a difficulty 8. Because I'm just interested in who spots someone before they make themselves known. 1 success from Marco.
2 successes for me.
2 from Lila. And okay, so Beanstalk and Zoe are oblivious to as you stride in. Marco, you get kind of, you've spent time in some rubbish-filled alleyways, and you get the sense that there's someone lurking near the back by one of the dumpsters. And Lila, you see kind of the outline of her against kind of the dwindling Ohio sun just before you. Just before the others are kind of slightly more startled by her stepping out of the shadows ahead of you. It is a young woman who emerges from the shadows. Just before she does so, you all swear you could hear a kind of brief, halted fluttering of wings, but perhaps that was just the raven somewhere nearby. She is of kind of very ambiguous heritage, dressed in a battered, unzipped hoodie with some kind of what looks like a kind of delivery company work shirt and patched up jeans. She kind of tightens up a backwards baseball cap over short dreadlocks as she emerges from the shadows. And she has a kind of faint smile on her face, and she's looking at all of you kind of one by one, but in a kind of an odd fashion. She's sort of tilting her head to one side and peering at you one by one, kind of focusing on you with one eye at a time, as if she only has one good eye, although which one that is seems to sort of switch.
Just really enjoying Chris's reaction to all of this.
I should have taken like 15 more points in Garu lore, so I could have done something in character with this information. But
there may be many very World of Darkness people out there who will know a lot more about some interactions we have like this. But we are, just so everyone knows, most of the group is very World of Darkness naive, and they are playing pups. So they're not immediately going to do things like go, "Oh, I know this obscure bit of lore" or whatever. So we will just take things as they come. She seems perfectly happy for one of you to start making introductions.
My tail's just wagging in the background.
Good afternoon. You startled me.
Yes. Hello. I'd be very interested to know what you're looking for.
We perhaps are not so much looking as hoping to clean up a little.
I see. And what kind of thing would you be looking to clean up?
A malodorous thing.
I think we might be talking the same language. And you haven't tried to tear my head off yet. Young. You're very young, aren't you?
We are what we lack in years, we have in determination.
I see.
Who is this? Beanstalk? You know this person?
You can call me Branwen.
Ah.
Yes, that'll do for now.
Pleased to meet you. And I'm Marco.
She nods, seemingly quite amused by the name she's given you. You are looking at the plant, aren't you? I saw you going round, taking note, looking at that big, frightening fence.
Yeah, I suppose.
And you have no way of getting over it, do you? I suppose every fence is frightening if you're tied to the ground.
Yeah, I suppose. You don't happen to know where we might get one of those uniforms you're sporting?
No. But I have one, don't I? And maybe we have similar goals here.
Maybe we do.
Do you want to cause trouble?
Always.
I've been watching that place for days. I'm not sure I can do anything about it myself, but, well, you're the warriors, aren't you? With your teeth and your claws.
We are the claw, yes.
Well then, perhaps we can work together. Investigate, make a plan, throw a spanner in the works.
Yeah, I mean that sounds good, right, guys?
Any friend is better than any enemy, and we have enough of the latter this evening.
Tail still wagging.
Yeah, Zoe's just gonna nod and just say, "Sounds good. Let's get going."
So it sounded like you have some sort of plan.
I have the seeds of one. But I'd like your input first. Why do you go out there, see what you can find, see if you can come up with any other suggestions? I'll meet you in an hour back here.
Okay. All right. You got any particular angles you want us to have a nose around in, or just free form?
Guard schedules, delivery schedules, habits.
Okay, a bit of people watching. I'll see what I can do.
She nods and kind of, with a last kind of tilt of her head, says, "Go on, go on, go on."
I back out.
When we sort of back out, can I kind of indicate, sort of communicate, that, you know, what's in that book? Because I think someone still had the book. We had the map. There was also the book with some.
I think Beanstalk definitely brought everything with him. Yeah.
So you can, as even in Lupus, you can talk with other Garu.
Yeah, so I'll
just whether or not you want to do it in front of her, because it would be okay. It wouldn't at all be strange to have a full conversation with a pet. That's something I do on a daily basis.
Just for purposes, I'm well aware that Chris knows what you're talking to, but like for the rest of you, I'm going to say I don't know how much reading that the three newer folk to Werewolf have done, but I will say if you have done any reading and know what or who she might be, I would say that you are not educated and advanced in Garu lore enough to probably be aware of what she might be and therefore have any kind of prejudice against her for it. Just a weird ally, right?
Weird ally, 100%. Any friend better than any enemy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm mainly going on the bard of our group, sort of vouching for this person, and the suspicious violent one also seemingly totally happy with it. So,
so I think Lila, you said that you might indicate for Beanstalk to share the information from the workbook. Was that? Yeah.
Yeah, or to, you know, the sort of what did that book say? Is essentially what I wanted to communicate.
Yeah. So I think we will keep the book for now, so I won't hand it over to her, but I will kind of take it. I'll render it over to Marco as well, probably with a maybe this will be more useful than I had initially thought.
Oh yeah, this has a few patterns in it, I think.
I mean, if you want, as you're presumably you're heading out of the alleyway and going to kind of try and investigate the place further, if one of you wants to kind of focus on like, you know, trying to find a pattern or some kind of significance in the workbook, you're more than welcome to do so.
I think I would. Yeah, I would be keen to do that.
Sure. Well, let's have Marco kind of do that. And while you're doing that, what specifically are the rest of you, the other three of you doing, do we think?
I would probably be trying to get a better vantage point to see actually into the factory grounds, so any of the taller buildings surrounding the factory.
Sure.
Just trying to, if there's not a fire escape, climbing a drain pipe.
Absolutely, you can look
yeah.
for something like that, no problem. How about you, Chris? What are you doing?
I'm at a bit of a loss. I'm going to take 5 on this. I'm just going to hang back and meditate a little, see if anything strikes me in inspiration.
Sure, you could try and meditate to get some gnosis back.
That's actually a superb idea, but how long does that normally take?
Let's fudge it a little bit. It's fine. We'll fudge it a little bit.
There is literally no point. I have spent no gnosis. So
far. Okay, that's fine.
But what I think what I will do is meditate and kind of do a kind of a mantra of thanks to Raven and request any additional guidance from our own totem rather than from this new potential friend.
Sure, absolutely.
I think I'll maybe try and maybe stick with Beanstalk and see if we can maybe find a spot to do that where I can just sort of sit next to him like an obedient dog, but maybe just keep an eye on like the comings and goings and how many people coming in and out. Are there any guard changes? Is there a sort of shift change from factory workers? Are there more trucks going in or out, or do they go in one way and out another? Just
sure.
What's the movement happening over this period of time?
Are you focusing on one of the 2 entrances in particular? The front one, from what you've seen, definitely seems to have the people and cars in and out, and the back one seems to have the trucks going in and out.
I think if there's a particular direction Beanstalk would maybe want to go in to meditate, I would imagine probably more around the back if it's a bit quieter.
It's definitely quieter around the back, yeah.
So yeah, say if you disagree, Chris, but otherwise, yeah, I'll kind of sit next to you there somewhere where it's a bit quieter. And
I'll be obviously fluent in Lupus body language, so I'll kind of be taking your lead with regards to where to specifically go.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that sounds great. Well, let's kick off with Zoe then. Let's see what our Child of Gaia finds by. You know what? I'm going to ask for a roll first to find a good spot to do this. So shall we go with a wits plus streetwise roll? I think that's quite a potentially good one. Or wits plus investigation. I think both of those are valid.
Same score in both. So I'll go with streetwise because that kind of works. Three successes if it's a difficulty 6.
That's pretty good. So yeah, you know what? You find that there's a machine shop kind of next to the manufacturing plant that is one of the taller buildings around here. It's not as big as the plant itself, but it goes up to 3 stories. And you know what? There's a fire escape on the side as well. And just with a bit of kind of looking around, most people in this industrial estate are going home now. And you find yourself able to kind of like, scrabble up the side of it fairly easily. When you reach the top, there is kind of a locked grate. So if you wanted to get right up to the top and get the best vantage point possible, you're definitely going to have to kind of like scrabble around and kind of climb the exterior of the fire escape. But that's definitely possible. It's up to you if you want to get that extra vantage point with a bit of extra climbing.
It would either be that or shifting into Glabro and basically tearing off the padlock.
That would definitely be a bit more noticeable, but but equally, it's up to you which one you want to do.
Sure, I'm all right at Dex, so I'll try and scramble around the side.
Sure, that's a dexterity plus athletics roll then, please, and we'll call that a difficulty 7, I think.
It's only 1 success.
That's enough. It takes you a while to do it, and you're just trying to do it safely without falling 3 stories. And you eventually manage to kind of scrabble and haul yourself over onto the kind of rough gravelly roof of this 3-story sandstone building, and you're just you get a very good vantage point there from which you can observe many things about the manufacturing plant. But before we get to what those might be, let's hop over. Let's say to Beanstalk and Lila. So I think we were saying here that Lila, you're going to be kind of observing the coming and goings from this rear gate, and while you do that, Beanstalk is going to be kind of meditating to Raven and seeing if you can get the Father Carrion's view of this this entire affair a bit more. Lila, let's start with your observation, and I think that's going to be a intelligence plus investigation roll, I think, to kind of spot anything around this rear gate.
Four successes.
Oh, very good. So you see that there is a delivery truck leaving every hour. And there, well, actually, no, you know what? You see that there's two kinds of delivery truck. One of them, the smaller one, and they're kind of uniform smaller ones, and they leave every hour and return not kind of like around the same time. There's also slightly larger, more upmarket looking delivery trucks that leave kind of sporadically. You notice that the security guards seem very interested in when the smaller ones leave and return, and they seem to kind of be check marking when they do so. And kind of noting, you even overhear them basically asking where they've come from, where they're going to, and they seem to expect the right response. They get it every time, and they mark something down on like on a clipboard as they do so.
Are they ever checking the contents of either of any of these
No.
trucks or vans? It's discussions with the driver.
Discussion with the driver only. They don't seem to care about the driver themselves or anything like that. They just kind of, you know, where are you going? Where have you been? Yeah, tick. And you know,
do I hear what these correct responses are?
Yeah, you do. They kind of mean nothing to you broadly. They're just like addresses. But can you give me an intelligence, just a flat intelligence roll, please? Difficulty 5, I think.
Two successes.
Yeah, they're an identical list to the locations in the workbook that you found in the bunker. And they're on a like if because you probably got that with you, right? Because Beanstalk had the book, and if you want to kind of like nose that open while he's browsing something and take a look, they're going through them in order, and therefore a predictable. Like they're leaving at a certain time.
Yeah,
I think I said every hour, but of course you aren't observing for more than an hour. Let's actually change that to every 20 minutes or so. That's fine.
Okay.
So there's an order.
Now all we need is a delivery truck.
Beanstalk, can you give me, please? You are praying to your totem. How about you give me a charisma plus whatever your score in totem is, please. And just give me a roll of that. Want to give me a roll of that, a difficulty 8. Let's see if Grandfather Raven hears you.
Ow. Okay. I remember having more points in totem than ended up on the sheet because I foolishly swapped it out for something else before going to press with it. But here we go. On 4 dice at difficulty 8.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, holy Lord. 3 successes out of 4 dice.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. You as you're sat there, well, why don't you describe to us how you meditate? You know, what position are you in? What does it look like as you're sat in this maybe another little alleyway nearby with Lila at your side?
I think I'm just kind of sat down somewhere reasonably comfortably, and let me see. Normally Beanstalk would do this in the Umbra, but missing the Umbra, so his cues are all off. So maybe not so comfortably as he would normally, but just kind of sat there quietly, being contemplative, and maybe occasionally murmuring some things awkwardly in as much as a human can facsimilate the Garu tongue.
Just kind of like, just sat on cross-legged on the ground in the entrance of this alleyway, with a dog at your side, maybe looking like someone down on their luck.
Yeah, in an unnecessarily outdated suit.
Sure. You definitely get a few odd glances from humans leaving their shift and kind of walking home, or traversing the industrial estate for whatever reason. But they don't really pay you enough in too much mind, especially with that large, fearsome looking dog next to you. And as you do so, you kind of your perception starts to drift just a little bit, and then you get these short, sharp flashes of images, odd black and white tilting, wheeling images as if from far above, kind of glimpsing in and out and in and out. You see the manufacturing plant ahead of you. You see sort of glimpses of this soaring point of view kind of roiling around the sky and tilting slightly. And you see that there is another raven, another crow next to you, flying through the air, seemingly unaware of your presence. And you see her kind of alighting on one of the high chimneys, one that isn't pouring out translucent fumes, and looking down. You have a distinct sense of trust and faith in this individual, to get you where you want to go, kind of an innate, this is someone you should put your faith into. And then you just get the sense moving through you. You don't hear Raven so much as you get a sense of what he might want. And that sense is flame, fire, burning. Destroy it, and you will have earned a reward. And then you kind of blink and sort of come to. Can you give me, please, a intelligence plus occult roll? And we'll call it a difficulty 8. I think it's going to be quite a challenging one.
Yes, I was just checking to see if I get bonuses from Raven, but we do not for occults. Intelligence plus occult is 4 dice, and you said 8, did you?
Difficulty 8, please, yes.
Here we go again.
Don't forget you can spend willpower for guaranteed successes.
I was going to do that. Actually, no, I rolled the dice before I decided I was going to do that, and that is no successes. So let's play honestly.
No, it's okay. No, it's the first time we've done it in this series. I'm happy for you to do it retrospectively.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I think given the gravitas of the situation, being able to contact
you are a
spirit
theurg,
through
and
the
this is to do with
gauntlets.
the totem. Yeah, it seems appropriate.
I'll blow willpower on that.
Absolutely. Then all I will say, and we'll talk about it at the end, but rather than kind of like spoiler these folks, Chris certainly knows what Bramwin is. Beanstalk now also knows what Bramwin is. You remember some half-heard tales from kind of you heard around the fire, not speaking terribly fondly of the kind of thing she might be, but Raven seems to approve, and that seems appropriate, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
and that's good enough for me.
Beanstalk now knows for sure what Bramwin is, and we'll talk about that at the end of the session, maybe. Who hasn't rolled here? Marco, you haven't rolled at all, right? And Zoe will have another roll as well for observation, but let's go with Marco. So you're looking, did you say you're looking through the workbook and trying to figure out a pattern? Yeah, sure. Oh, you did have the workbook away from you. Lilo, let's just say you remembered the list of things. Or Marco, you can be with them if you want. It doesn't.
Yeah, sure. That makes more sense. I'm looking at the book while Lila can
is listening. Look over your shoulder and adorably, just a big blonde wolf looking over your shoulder. Well, you know what? You're trying to figure out like a pattern, right? Like trying to kind of work out these things. Why don't you give me then a intelligence plus enigmas roll?
Sure. So I'm rolling 6
dice.
That's
reasonable. I don't think it's a difficult puzzle, so go ahead and just take a flat.
2 10s, 2 8s, 4 successes.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a very regular delivery rota that seems to be kind of like moving, basically the closest proximity at the same time. Vans are going to the furthest apart points if you look on the map. So they're I guess they don't want their vans to be seen in the same area at similar kind of times. Maybe this is a more discreet way of doing it. They're definitely delivering something all over Cincinnati, and there's numbers of barrels listed, and those Fomori were drawing barrels of that foul substance from the pipeline that presumably comes from this manufacturing plant, to or from. So it's not a stretch. Corrupting substances are being delivered around Cincinnati to these places.
Yeah. So the thought in my head is like, it would be a good thing if we could obtain access to one of these vehicles and either do some sort of subterfuge relating to like being one of the delivery people to get inside. If I cross-reference the book against the map that I think we have, is there any sort of obvious route that they might go that might prove to be a good place to ambush?
Sure. I think that is a absolutely fantastic plan. Why don't you give me another roll of that? Let's have again intelligence, I think. And what do we think for that? Streetwise, maybe?
Yeah. Seems pretty reasonable.
I think that's a good one. Yeah, why don't we have an intelligence plus streetwise roll? I'm gonna make this a bit more difficult. I'm gonna make this a difficulty 8, I think, because you're not familiar with Cincinnati,
I was gonna say, can I also roll, because that was what I was thinking as well, as can we get a van, and which is the best location to do that.
Intelligence plus streetwise, difficulty 8. Yeah, I think it's challenging because you don't know Cincinnati, right? But like, you've got a map, so that does help. But
okay, I got 0 successes, but no ones.
I got 0 successes and a 1.
Got no idea.
Well then, I won't offer it.
Is there anything that would be affected by that with being in lupus?
No, I don't think so. Well, you know what? Like, Chris has already taken spending a willpower after the roll, and it would seem unfair if I didn't offer it to other people. You know what, though? I won't offer it to Inga because I feel the botch does kind of cancel that out. So, Marco, if you want to spend a willpower to get an automatic success, I'm perfectly happy for you to do that post roll.
Yes, I will take any of your cheaty GM offers.
I'll give everyone a freebie offer of that in this session
before killing us at the end of the session.
Sure. So Inga and Holly, when you're not with the botch, I think, but like I'll give you the chance to do that post session because it's only fair. Yeah. Okay. So Lila, you know what I'm going to say for your botch? You are convinced it cannot be done. From looking at the map and looking at the schedule, you're like, no. Like, and maybe it's your unfamiliarity with the city and the reeking of the weaver and the worm all around you, but you're like, no, that's a nonsense plan. And you know what? You'll get of Fenris blood inside you. This reeks of subtlety and deception and human-like manipulation and just lies, and you kind of consider the idea, and then you go, no, this is foolish. It can't be done. Clearly, something like a full frontal assault is
hero's choice.
Yeah, really the way to do it. And you feel almost maybe a little bit ashamed of yourself that you thought anything such. I'm not saying that you will refuse to do anything but that, but that's definitely maybe the tack you're coming at it from.
If I can't think of a way of making it work, it's obviously a silly plan.
Exactly. Marco, on the other hand, yeah, you know what? In about half an hour's time, about 10 minutes from here, there is a rather what looks like, you walk through it on the way here. It's basically an overpass that you're pretty sure one of these vans will have to pass through. And from walking here, it was pretty dark down there, and there wasn't much traffic. and it seems like an ideal spot that if the truck could be flagged down or stopped somehow otherwise, perhaps the driver could be taken care of in some fashion, and the delivery truck could be purloined.
Yeah. How about hey Lila, how about there? And I'm sort of indicate it on the map. And then I sort of look at your body language, and I'm like,
you can absolutely talk Garu. The Garu language is through small noises and body language. So yeah,
it will be a slightly stoic, oh, kind of reaction.
look, I know it's not really your style, but maybe we can be very direct with the driver. We're a pack. We can combine our skills.
You're very smart, Marco. Give it begrudging approval. Head tilt or whatever.
I can never tell when she's being sarcastic.
I love, by the way, how Marco has become, as he's contemplating this truck hijack, he's becoming ever more New York. Maybe we could take care of business under this overpass.
Well,
yeah.
What can I say? I think it's a good plan.
So the seeds of a plan coming together in next to Beanstalk as he flies through the spirit realm alongside Raven. Zoe, on the other hand, atop this 3-story machine shop, taking a good look at what you can see down there. Let's have a good old-fashioned perception plus alertness roll, please, for what you can see from your vantage. And you know what? I'm dropping your difficulty by 1 to 5 because you're at such a good vantage.
Can I take the freebie, please?
You can take that freebie. Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't botch, but I rolled 2 2s and a 3. So.
Sure, the others have, so go ahead, spend a temporary willpower.
Yes,
and yeah, so that's 1 success, but still, you do get some information here. I'll tell you this, there are clearly way more guards than just the guards you could see. They switch position every half hour or so. You can't get a good proper head count on them, but it's at least double the number that you saw. They are all armed with guns. And they seem to be really quite alert of what's going on. And you know what?
Can I see like a patrol pattern or something?
Not with 1 success. I don't think you can detect anything like that. But you can definitely tell that there's a large, competent, and well-armed guard force that are at least double the size of the ones you spotted on the gates. And the ones you spotted on the gates, I think, were maybe 8 in total, like 4 on the front and 4 on the back. And there's also a fair amount of security cameras around. But you kind of knew that already, and I think that's a good 1 success worth of info. So it's
cool.
Definitely not going to be plain sailing.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, in which case, I'll head back down the fire escape and come and join the others.
Sure. So, yeah, go ahead. Formulate your plans together.
I'll let you guys know that there's more guards. There's probably approaching 20 guards if you include the ones at the front and the back, and then inside the compound as well. Did you guys manage to get a good look at the delivery van schedules? I saw them coming in and out, but I wasn't keeping track of time.
Yeah, I've been looking over these documents, and Isla heard that they're not checking anything apart from where they're going, and based on this, we could definitely fake that. We also found a place where they might be vulnerable to some sort of ambush.
Okay, yeah, I've got an idea for how we could get the driver out without damaging the vehicle.
Oh.
The old insurance fraud tactic.
It's probably pretty new in 1995, in fairness.
Yeah, new insurance fraud.
This thing that a mate of mine invented. You fall over.
First,
the front
what
of
you have to do is install
car.
several $1,000s worth of camcorder equipment on the dashboard of a car.
Yeah,
So,
no, I've got an idea how to stop them.
like, okay, I take your word for it. This is going to be one that we're just going to spring on them, spring on us as you spring it on them.
I mean, there's not much really to it. You fall over the front of a van while it's moving slowly and act like it's run you over at speed in order to make them get out and see if you're all right.
Get hit by a van.
Essentially,
Holly knows a lot about this. I'm worried.
Yeah, you just play it up.
Are you back?
I have been visited by Raven.
Oh.
We can place our trust in Branwen. She may not be an ally beneath Luna, but she is an ally beneath Gaia. A cousin, perhaps.
Okay. And any idea what Raven wants us to do? Is this a scouting mission or
fire?
I assume not.
My favorite.
Fire and wrath.
Explosions. Explosions. Please say explosions.
Means you can find. Raven is clear. This place must not see a dawn.
So he is now incredibly excited. She hasn't got to blow something up in a while, and therefore is now happy.
Okay.
I can run out in front. I can run out in front of the van, and to slow it down for someone to get hit.
I mean, they might be more suspicious of a massive dog than a human. Generally, you get put in prison for hitting a human. Hitting a dog is less likely.
Oh, what are you saying? That they won't slow down?
I mean, they'll get out and check on you if you're a person. They'll just keep driving if you're a dog. Which I definitely don't say from experience. and you see,
Low
so it
growl.
just slightly rubs one leg.
Very
Okay.
disappointed growl from me.
Well, I don't know. Maybe this plan might not go off without a hitch. Maybe we need a heavy hitter to be the backup.
Yeah, I mean it's literally just to get them out of the car. I could stop the van and remove the driver, but we want the delivery van to be in one piece, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a fair
so
point.
we'd rather they get out of the van and then we rip them apart.
Okay.
Before
Yes?
things pick up pace, Marco, it I think makes the most sense that you drive. And once we get within the plant, we should find a place of calm, collect ourselves, and then make the attack.
Do we need any supplies if we are to bring about fire?
We probably need
Gasoline?
to get some stuff. I mean, yeah, some gas.
Branwen did say that she had the seeds of a plan. Perhaps we should bring her our water.
Is the hour pretty much past now, Matt?
There is about 20 minutes left But it's worth noting that this
the van will be
ideal
there.
ambush spot is about 10 minutes away.
Yeah,
So-
I think we need to get there.
How
Let's bring
how much
Bramwin.
time do you think we would have in order to get from that like ambush spot to inside the plant? Like, would they notice that a delivery was late?
Probably,
Yes.
as long as you're quick about it, probably not much. But I suppose essentially what I'm saying is if you want to get that van at that ideal ambush point, you're going to have to do it before you link up again
to
with
Bramwin.
Bramwin. And you're going to
That's what I
have
was
to do it
about to say.
pretty soon.
Okay, in which case, I reckon we should just head over and try and get this van, because that's going to be more useful.
We
Okay.
stop the van before it gets to its intended destination. We buy the time then anyway.
We
stop the
do,
van.
but it's it's just about making it as unsuspicious as possible.
Yeah.
We should.
So just while I have this in my head, there's the van is on the inward bound leg when it's getting hijacked. Is that correct? Oh, so there's no point in. Oh God, I really want to tell the friend.
Okay.
If you want to get this van, you're definitely going to have to set off before you're going to have to. Yeah.
Let's do
with
that.
Bramwin.
Let's get the van, and then we've got everything that we need for the plan to actually get in and do stuff.
Actually, we may leave a message.
With Raven?
No, Raven is not a message bird. No, we leave a glyph for Branwyn and hope that my assumptions about her astuteness are correct.
Good idea.
You don't have time to leave a complex message, but if you want to give a 1 or 2 word one, Chris, to leave in the alleyway.
Probably just the glyph, whatever glyph there is for van, and then the glyph again for war.
Sure. There's probably a glyph for like transport or something like that you can use. And then, the actual, as I said, I think I said the overpass is in a place where you came here from. So it will be to the south that you pass through on the way from the wasteland. And it does not take you long at all to get there. It takes you maybe about 10 minutes or so to kind of find your way through the slowly, again, it's still, the sun is still in the sky. It's June, but it's definitely getting a bit dimmer. The sun is getting low, and the shadows are growing. And you make your way through this industrial estate, kind of slightly more towards the city center of Cincinnati, but still very much in this area. And as you turn into this, I say overpass, would you probably call it an underpass, actually, a darkened underpass. You can see ahead of you very little traffic, no kind of like humans wandering around. They are out in this street, but not kind of down this area that has quite a narrow pavement along it. You do see, in fact, you see there as you walk along. Are you kind of trying to be stealthy or anything about it, or are you just, walking towards?
Confidence. Confidence is key.
Sure. Anyone else with any changes to their demeanor or this, or everyone following behind Zoe?
Yeah, I think falling in behind Zoe. Similarly, I think Beanstalk has clocked where this is going already.
I think, yeah.
As you approach, you can see there is no driver in the cab. As I say, the door is open. There is like what looks like a little maintenance tunnel off to presumably either the sewerage or maybe the power grid of the area nearby. The door to that is open near the exit to the truck, and coming from that little passageway is a distinct snoring.
Okay.
We need some keys.
Well, we don't necessarily need keys. Keys would be nice.
You're so sketchy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna peek my head round the corner and see if I can see what's going on with the snoring.
Sure, absolutely. You see a fairly narrow passageway and it's mostly in darkness, even coming from the relative dimness of the underpass. And as you peer in, emerging from the darkness is a quite familiar figure, readjusting the delivery driver uniform she is now wearing, and tightening the baseball cap on her head, is Branwen. Folks, you literally hit the same plan that Branwen was doing. So well done there. Behind her in the shadows are just like a pair of now kind of like just underwear clad legs of a delivery driver who is the source of the snoring. Branwen kind of takes a step forward as you kind of emerge around, and for a moment kind of like tenses her body and then relaxes it.
At which point I'm just going to say, snap.
It's not true what they say about the wolves.
Oh,
You can think.
Have you got keys?
Oh, keys, uniform, destination. Don't worry. He's sleeping without thought or memory for a time.
Perfect. Well, if you want to hop in the driver's seat, we'll get in the back and we can discuss the plan.
I wouldn't touch any barrels.
No, I'd already, we've already had experience of that.
She wanders out of the side passage, and really well done on coming to the exact same conclusion. Clearly, I should have made it more obscure. And yeah, she walks around to the back, unlocks, rolls it up, and the horrible, that rotting medical stench immediately rolls over you as the inside of the back of this truck is full of barrels, and obviously they're all sealed and screwed down. But the base kind of floor of the truck still has kind of like is scarred and pitted and stained with the horrible greenish blue of the ichor-like fluid that's no doubt inside. Branwen kind of tips her head towards the back and says, "Better you than me. In you go."
Yeah, I'll head in, like choking a little, because this is going to smell foul, especially to a werewolf.
I'll maybe indicate to Marco, does she have the words she needs to say?
Oh, yeah, I'll show her the book, in case you hadn't figured this part out of the plan yet. Just say, this is where you came
read
from.
off the place this place has come from. Let's call it it's come from Garden Street. Let's call it that. She tips her head and says, "Oh, this is easier. Thank you. Yes." She kind of she certainly seems to be going to grab the workbook from you. Are you going to happily hand it over to her?
I briefly sort of instinctively retract, but then I kind of look over at Beanstalk, who's presumably not shaking his head or whatever. And
Trust, Marco. Trust.
I know it's just difficult, okay? And then hand it.
She takes it off you, and in like kind of the low sun down in the end of the overpass shines briefly, and it's got the I think I said the workbook has like a little kind of chain attached to it that it was like maybe attached to the desk that you got it off, and it kind of flashes a bit brightly in the lowering sun, and Branwen kind of blinks for a second and almost like tosses the workbook a bit to make the glimmer shine a bit more, and then blinks a little and folds it and kind of like looks through and nods in appreciation at all this information, and then closes it, tucks it under her arm and says, "All right, in, go on in."
Okay. I try and get a rag that I have on me and sort of put it over my face to try and mask out some of the smell.
Sure, absolutely. I take it all of you are climbing into the back of this truck?
Yup.
You do so, and Branwen kind of, with a kind of clattering crash, pulls the back of the truck down. It's very dark inside. Kind of the sides of it are very very opaque, and very little light is coming through at all. And as the truck starts up, you just hear the kind of rattling and sloshing of this horrible fluid in these barrels as the truck starts making its way forward. Can everyone please give me a stamina plus primal urge roll? The difficulty is going to be... Oh, does that make sense that way round? No, that doesn't make sense that way round. Let's actually have it as perception plus primal urge. The difficulty is 7, and you want to fail it. So don't spend a willpower for it.
Given that I'm still in lupus and I've got a -2 on the difficulty.
Oh, yeah. Definitely take
So-
that. But you know what, Marco? You can up the difficulty by 1 because you thought to put on a mask.
I got 2 successes and 3
Okay.
failures.
Sure. So everyone succeeded, right? Okay,
Yeah.
well, the journey to the manufacturing plant is going to become a bit more unpleasant because all of you are left kind of retching up the meals that you had back in the Spindrift Diner from your stomachs. Like, it's not uncontrollable, but once everything's out, it's out. But it is one of the more unpleasant journeys you've had. You feel like you're swimming in just kind of an air of toxicity in the back of this thing. Whatever they're pumping, whatever foul solution of the worm they're pumping into these barrels, it is potent and it is unpleasant and corruptive. You dread to think what it would do to kind of less fearsome beings of Gaia, or even just, most of you are Homid and therefore have some empathy with humans. Whatever it is doing to the people of Cincinnati, or the innocent creatures and nature nearby, will be distinctly unpleasant.
Oof.
Oh God! Yeah. This is. Do we have to have the barrels in? Oh.
So you, as the truck rattles along, it does not take long, although certainly longer than you would like. And you hear it kind of, and feel it come to a halt, and you hear what sounds like Branwen's voice ahead in the cab, speaking to what sounds like presumably a security guard. There is just kind of like a quite deep man's voice interacting with it. If you want to hear what they're saying, you're going to have to make your way through the barrels and make a detection roll kind of on the other side. Are we bothering with that?
I'm assuming she can handle it.
Trust in Raven, trust in Branwen, all is well.
I'm all good on the floor.
Sure. After a few seconds, you hear kind of the interaction stop, and the truck starts up again forwards. It drives a short distance. You hear a loud kind of rattling, clanging sound. It drives forward again, comes to a halt. There is another rattling, clanging sound, and then the sound of the door of the cab opening and shutting, and then kind of the keys coming into the back of the van. Rolling up, Branwen is stood on the other side. You appear to be in a loading bay of some kind. She's kind of peering very subtly around the side of the truck and looking around very warily. You can hear people kind of quite actively in the loading bay, kind of multiple people talking and moving around. And she kind of steps round to the side of the back of the truck, so she kind of can't be seen too much, and says, "There are many people here. Some guards as well."
I'd suggest we get under the truck to hide from view so that we can scope out how many people there are.
Yes, you do that. I will go elsewhere. But
Sounds
good
good.
luck.
Best of luck to you too. Thanks for the help.
Do what wolves do best. Destroy it all. She kind of pulls the back of the truck down after you've exited and strides very confidently off away from the side of the truck.
I will shift back into Homid now that we're inside.
Cool. So we're kind of crawling under the truck and trying to see what we can from under there, right?
Yeah,
well then,
just to keep out of view of the cameras.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. It's quite a big truck, so yeah, and quite a lot of room underneath. And you're all in Homid. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to ask all of you for a stealth roll, and all I need is for one of you to have succeeded the roll, and for none of you to have botched. That's all I need. Inga is still allowed a preemptive spend of a willpower if she wants to make sure. But for everyone else, it's going to be, you know what? I think I'm going to offer multiple attributes here for people. So I'm going to actually offer one of three. I'm going to offer either dexterity, manipulation, or wits, depending on how you're going to do it. You know, if it's dexterity, you're just scrambling underneath as quickly as you can. If you're social, you're going to kind of maybe take a step down and just kind of look around confidently and, there's something wrong with the tire, and kind of look down. And if it's wits, you're kind of looking around you and doing it kind of creepily. And if we combine that with whichever one of those you pick with stealth, and the difficulty is going to be 7. Yeah.
2 successes for me without
2 successes as well.
Fantastic. 1 for Chris. How's Pierre doing?
You know when you have like a speciality in a thing? Does cunning, like I have cunning for wits.
Yeah, I think that applies. Yeah, I think that can apply here, sure. And what they do is basically, he says, double checking this. If specialities work like they do in previous editions, then your 10s explode, basically. So if you get a 10, then you get to roll another die.
Okay, so I'm doing.
I think that's definitely how they work in previous editions.
I have cunning and I had a wits with a 10, but I mean I had 2 successes anyway, so I don't know whether.
Sure.
Oh, I just rolled another 10 with the second one.
You can technically keep on rolling. I'm assuming that's how specialities work in 20th edition, but if anyone wants to contradict me on that, feel free.
And sorry, it was difficulty 6.
7, I believe I said. Yeah.
7. Okay. I got a 10 and a 9, and then. So yeah, I got 2 successes.
What I'm hearing is we're all good. Using whatever methods you wanted to. And let's just have a quick hand. Who used dexterity? Who just snuck underneath quickly? Zoe and Beanstalk just scrambled under as quick as they could. Who used manipulation? No one. You're werewolves. So the other 2 were wits, which means you kind of maybe Layla and Marco kind of like peered around a bit and then like carefully crept underneath. But either way, you're all underneath the truck now, and you can peer around you and try and get a sense and scope of this large kind of loading bay that's back here, which you can recognize now. I'm not going to make you kind of roll for it. I think you have a very good vantage point for where you are. There's only a couple of other trucks in the loading bay, and it's a fairly typical what you'd imagine like a manufacturing plant loading bay to look like. It's got a lot of those barrels on various platforms that are being loaded off via forklift into the back of these trucks. You can also see a larger van, one of the larger, more official looking delivery vans, although again with no actual sort of company logo or anything on the side of it that you can see. And it seems very busy, very competent. The workers look very kind of frazzled and on the edge, and they're kind of like, they're clearly being worked quite hard. You can also see what look like, you can see a couple of the guards you've seen outside kind of moving around near the edges of the loading bay, just kind of looking vaguely bored but attentive. You can see some security cameras. You can see a number of different exits from the chamber off to what look like some are corridors. One is opening up on what might be like the factory floor, where you can hear loud machine noises coming from. But from the rear of the chamber, furthest away from the docking bay, from the kind of entrance where the van came in, you can see other security guards far more big and bulky security guards with very kind of almost, kind of like tactical gear on, sort of what you'd expect from a SWAT team or something like that, wearing kind of all black with harnesses with, Kevlar. They've got the shades and the caps on. They've got at least one of them is carrying a shotgun, which doesn't seem like a very security guard thing to have, and kind of like a combat knife strapped at the side. And you know what? I'd like all of you to make a perception plus alertness roll to detect something else about them. And I'm going to make this difficulty 8 and just hope that someone rolls it. Marco's got it. Layla's got it. Lila, we're saying, isn't it? Lila, not Layla. How about Beanstalk and Zoe? Beanstalk gets 2. Lovely.
No,
Zoe, then.
No, nothing.
You are the only one to miss it. And again, it's kind of up to you. I don't know, how much you guys have read of full background. I'm sure Chris will nod sagely. These individuals you did not see outside in any capacity, all wearing, they don't have name badges, but these are the first people you've seen wear any kind of company badge. They have an official kind of tag at their breast, which says Pentex Security.
It's Captain Planet time, folks.
Yeah, there we go. And you know what? We're a little bit early this week. And early for me, I usually go over 10 here. But you know what? I think that's a nice point on which to leave it. And if anyone is like, why would that be a point to leave it? Pentex in the World of Darkness is basically the big bad Uber corporation of the worm. They are involved. They have their greasy paws in every aspect of pollution and horribleness in human society. And hey, you've hit the mother lode here with an official Pentex manufacturing plant. Time to get monkey wrenching.
Quick question about
Yeah.
how many other vehicles are there around us?
There were a couple of the smaller barrel carrying vehicles and a couple of the larger trucks that look more official, fancier and like actual delivery trucks. And you know what? Here's a bit of information as well I didn't pass on. They are loading into them big crates of toys.
Oh man,
Super evil.
That's not good.
So there we go. There's an extra cliffhanger
slightly
bit.
Tangential question to that.
Sure.
Do there happen to be any fire sprinklers?
I'm going to rule that you can't tell that from underneath the truck.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, that could be something we can look into next time. So there we go, folks. Thank you for watching. If you've got any comments or questions, please sling them in the chat. And Chris, is it okay if you pop them up for us after I'm done with the promo? Thank you ever so much. So yeah, promo stuff before we get onto the general chat. So there's a bunch of links below. There's links to Twitch and to YouTube. You've watched this on one of those. Why not check out the other? Our YouTube has all of our video on demand on it, all of our streams. There's must be hundreds of episodes and thousands of hours of content by now on there. So please do check those out. We've got lots of different series we've run. We, in fact, do run 3 regular streams a week. Monday is currently Shadows of Esterin, and that's picking up again after the festive break this coming Monday. Wednesdays is Simba Room, and Thursdays is this, Cincinnati Chronicles, where we're hopping between different World of Darkness systems and telling a story, all within Cincinnati in over the course of 24 hours of one day in 1995 using all 5 core World of Darkness systems. We're on Werewolf, as you know, you watched it. So we still have Mage, Wraith and Changeling to come. Exciting stuff. We also run one-shots on the first Saturday of every month. That means there's one this Saturday, which is Cyberpunk 2020. It's going to be Sam's first time GMing for us here on the channel. Not his first time GMing. But on the channel, and that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to kick off at 3:00 p.m. GMT. That's 10 a.m. EST. So please come join us for that. It's going to be good. How many of us? I think it's just me here who's in it, but there's also John and Steve and Jack. And Jack hasn't been on the channel for a while, so be there for his return. Yeah. It's not the usual promo. I think that's.
I just
my usual
realized you
stuff.
missed an absolute storming tagline there with Cyberpunk 2020 in the grim darkness of the recent past.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one to play now, right? Especially after Cyberpunk 2077 and how much everyone enjoyed that. So yeah, it'll be good though. It'll be good fun. The original tabletop role playing game of Cyberpunk from Mike Pondsmith, visionary role playing game designer. So yeah, let's talk. And you know what? We'll give people a bit more time for comments and stuff in the chat. Chris, would you like to tell your fellow players what Bramwin is?
We just met a Corax.
Let me get the book while you're raving about that.
So with the changing breeds, it's kind of like a body politic kind of thing, where each part of the Gaia's body is defined as a different part of Gaia, and the Garu are described as the claws of Gaia, the warrior caste. The Corax are described as the eyes of Gaia. And they are were-crows. They're burbs. And they're so cool, and they get to fly in Krynos, and it's not called Krynos as well. It's got a cooler name. Oh, they're so good. They're squawk friends, and I love them.
Squawk friends. Are they normally like not our friends?
There is drama, and the thing is, there's different flavors of drama between the Garu and all of the changing breeds. None of them are as friendly as they should be, but they are. And I can't remember all of the drama between them, but there's feuds, and none of them are really talking, even though they should be.
Yeah,
essentially, the main feud is between all the other changing breeds, or Fera, as they're known as, and the werewolves. There was an event in the distant past called the War of Rage, where the Garu decided that they were the only true children of Gaia, so they tried to kill all the other Fera. And now the other Fera are all like mostly diminished in population, mostly with one really distinct exception, because the Garu still think like there are very few of the other Fera left, and they would be right if it wasn't for the Ratkin, who are everywhere. But yeah, it's basically all bad on the Garu, because they were wrong. The other Fera weren't corrupted and were also chosen of Gaia, and they fucked up pretty bad actually. And now there's very few of the others left, and the ones who are either hated by the Garu or hate the Garu to the point where they rarely work alongside them. But clearly, Branwen was quite impressed that you were following Grandfather Raven, and decided to help you out in this particular.
God, I love this whole cosmology. Let's do a werewolf campaign.
Sure.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think we also missed a beat, because their Pentex actually have a security arm, and I can't quite remember the name of it, but there is a private.
They did, but I just wanted to make it clear that it was Pentex without for
just,
you guys.
Just double up the evil, reinforce the Captain Planet vibes.
Well, I mean, they're delivering toys, and it's around Christmas time, so
it's just this.
It's mid-June.
Well, I was just thinking it's around Christmas time in my meat world.
Yeah,
that I inhabit, as opposed to imagining correctly that it is in fact June 1995.
No, there's so yeah, for anyone who doesn't, I don't know if I think everyone looked very recognizing Pentex, which is nice, and clearly my new players have been doing a bit of reading. Pentex is like I say, the Uber corporation of the worm, essentially. And to answer what you said, Chris, they're weirdly the Krynos version of Corax is just called Krynos, because most of the other changing breeds have all different names.
Flavorful words, don't they? That's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, they can turn into just ravens or crows or whatever, and they have like a kind of slightly awkward half-breed monstery one that they sometimes use for fighting. But Bramwin, Corax. Anyone else get some of the little Corvid references I made there? Anyone want to?
The shinies, I spotted the shinies.
The shinies. Sleeping without thought or memory.
I thought that was one of the gifts, isn't it? You can. Can't you kind of?
Thought and memory are the names of Odin's crows.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
delightful.
got that one. Yeah.
And when Odin goes into what's referred to as the Odin sleep, essentially like a kind of hibernation that he sinks into, in order to gain rest, he sends thought and memory away. So there we go.
Delightful.
There we go. Yeah, I'm a nerd. Yeah. Have we got any comments, Chris? Have you got anything that you wanna pop up from there? 42, good to see you. I'd imagine that scent marking would be the natural werewolf communication. I think they do that as well, but there is a specific like Garu like scratched thing. If you look in the core book, there's even like a few pages of it that you can look up. But yeah, it would make sense to do scent marking. You're absolutely right. This one, I don't know who this is. From Chris, do Garu live in warehouses? Pause for laughter. I hate to say this, Chris, but you might need to explain that.
Because Garu are werewolves, so you keep
warehouses
werewolves in warehouses.
I don't think warehouses are one of the changing breeds.
It's where all the
It would be a boring character to play. Turn into a house on the full moon.
Other people were clearly getting the Captain Planet vibes. Which this stage of every werewolf
by our powers combined. Yeah. Good stuff. Night Bites. Yeah, Pentex definitely deserve to be monkey wrenched. Absolutely. If anyone's unfamiliar with the term, I think it is a real world term as well, but it's also specifically the term Garu used when they're fighting. Pentex is
it's an old union term from not far from Cincinnati. Actually, I believe it's one of the Chicago militant unions in the 20s.
Maybe, yeah, sure, may well be. I do not know of this, but absolutely could be. Yeah, I know it's used by it's still used by a lot of kind of ecological protesters and stuff. People who put sugar in gas tanks at logging camps and stuff like that. So.
This game has been an education for me. This is wonderful. This is amazing.
There we go. And I tell you, it's one of these things where, like, it's very difficult to run a World of Darkness campaign with someone who's versed in it, and make little things without them going, "Oh, cool," because it's so rich and deep. Yeah. Like some would say too much so, because you can't like turn around without bumping into one supernatural creature or another. But it's a lot of fun to do it. And that's kind of what this one's about, right? So
it does feel like the exact opposite of Symbaroum, where no one has any idea what's going on at any time, to this one where our characters have no idea what's going on, but kind of vintage role players are like, oh, I know them.
Ooh, Crow Lady. Yeah, absolutely. So great stuff. All right, folks. Next week is going to be the finale of our Werewolf the Apocalypse arc. So get in on that. And then after that, I don't think I think we've and ahed over whether we take a week's break between the different arcs on these. I think for this one we won't, because we've only just come back from the festive season. And so then the week after next is going to be Mage the Ascension. Very excited about that. As you'll know if you've watched. Yeah, as you'll know if you've watched Vampire, we're rotating players in and out a bit here. So Mage will see the return of John and the departure of Inga until our next story arc. But before that, we still got more Werewolf to go, folks. So for more and final.